Thank you for reminding me. Our recording is missing the first couple minutes, but Jim, why don't I just put this right in front of you?
Oh, okay.
All right. And then,
It's weird to still be in a Zoom meeting and a live meeting and talking with people and not standing up, which is things. So thank you for allowing me to come tonight. So my name is Jim Travers. As Mike pointed out, I recently joined the city of Norwalk. So I think I'm at like 7 weeks now. So 7 very full weeks. So I think before we go on, just to I guess for you to have a little understanding of who I am and what we do. So, under Mayor Relling, he created a department for transportation, mobility, and parking. Quite honestly, it was a new department, but this is my 3rd time creating this department. So I did this under Mayor DeStefano in New Haven at a time where we had a number of pedestrian fatalities on city streets. And it mobilized the community, and we were the first city in the state to adopt complete streets legislation. And it was really through a community effort. From that, we also created a safety campaign to really bring streets that have respectful speeds, that honor pedestrians, that honor cyclists, really about mobility and connecting people to their community. So as a mayoral appointee under the city of New Haven, when Mayor DeStefano opted not to seek re-election after serving as the city's longest serving mayor, still difficult talking with this thing. You breathe in and I just all of a sudden can't breathe in. Mayor Martin in Stamford recognized the need for a similar issue and to mimic this department. So created a Bureau of Transportation, Traffic, and Parking for the city of Stamford. And then Mayor Martin, spoke to me. We talked about my history. I joined the city of Stamford, adopting complete streets legislation for the city of Stamford and completing a complete streets design manual for them. I can tell you that some of the highlights in my career in Stamford was not only creating a number of projects that improved, but timing the city's all the city's 211 traffic signals, reducing travel time by 14%, furthermore reducing driver frustration, which led to an 8-year low of overall crashes. For the prior years, it had the lowest bike crashes since we've been recording bike crashes, and pedestrian fatalities and serious injuries far below that of the state and national average, right? We are seeing, pedestrian fatalities at an all-time high across the country. In every city in the state of Connecticut that saw pedestrian fatalities in 2018 saw an increase in 2019, with the exception of Stamford, who's the only one that saw them in the decrease, right? So I say that not because I tout my accomplishments, but there's a way, we know how to do it, right? And it's about bringing streets for everyone. I had a conversation with the team in Norwalk and Mayor Relling, and decided to join the city of Norwalk, and am really excited. I have had the opportunity to meet. I had hoped by now to meet all of the council members, but it's just like I started to meet a few council members, and then people know my telephone number. And we monopolize and I haven't met all of them yet, but I will meet all of them, and we'll meet the taxing districts. We'll make some things, but I don't want, so that was a little bit of background. I don't want to monopolize the time. My main purpose of that is it happens through community, and I think that's really what we want to work with, right? And we're connecting people to our neighbors, and I think if there's anything that we learned from the pandemic is that we want to be out and we want to enjoy. And plus, we've had so much time in, right? We need to enjoy other people's company. I'm glad for finally actually this is my first public meeting where I'm actually out in people since last February. Joining the city of Norwalk, had a conversation with your representatives about Rowayton Avenue, and we walked it, in its entirety a number of times. and really saw this challenges that the community is facing, right? You know, there was a couple of times I was like, oh, I don't like this feeling, right? You know, and you know, there's just, you know, ruts where have, you know, just the amount of pedestrians that have walked have just, and those are real indications of, like, when that happens, right? There's a need that we have to do it. And you know, as we started to investigate this, and as we started to investigate opportunities for funding more of these improvements, right? We started to look at I started to look at Norwalk's walk score. So there's a website that kind of manages, you know, the walk score in cities and states, and we have the lowest, right? And it's not, I think so. The great thing about that is we have only, you know, up to go, right? And you know, and we can get it, you know, but I think there's another point, you know, like, you know, we have to reemerge from the pandemic, and we have to get people back at work. Our economy is dependent on it. It's not only the economy of people getting back into employers, but those employers then have people in centralized spaces that allow you to go for coffee or go for lunch, and you further the economy by that. So we have, you know, we invested a lot in a rail system, right? So we have to get people back into the train and back in the city. And what we really want to do is make sure that, you know, that when we're welcoming people back, that we're doing so in the best manner possible. So I'm also oversee the parking for the city. So we're making those same levels of investment in our parking, our parking lots around the train stations, as well as the train stations themselves. But in this case, to talk about Rowayton Avenue, we met at Pinckney Park.
Yeah.
Okay. And we walked up Rowayton, and then turned up Rowayton to the train station, and really saw that, you know, there's a rut there. There's a, you know, there's a path there that people are using. There's some challenges in doing that, and added challenges that half of that route is a state route, right? And I have a fairly good relationship with the Department of Transportation, but it's always a challenge with the Department of Transportation. So I'm being filmed, and that probably wasn't a good thing to say. But that being said, is, you know, they require another level of, you know, so it's another level of eyes on it, but just a security. So the process that we're going to start, and we want it, you know, like, I think hopefully this is going to be just a start of being in front of you, is we're going to look at creating some design plans of what sidewalks would look like from new sidewalks would look like from Pinckney Park up to Rowayton, creating a crosswalk with ADA accessible ramps at the traffic signal to get you to safely cross the street, and then continue up to the connected one, and then connecting you across Rowayton to the train station itself. And then we looked at, you know, in the back that there's a path that we're also going to look at creating that as well. I think so. One of the things I want to just chat about is, and I've had some conversations with our DPW, the Department of Public Works, who have the design guidelines for the that we follow. And I think one of the modes of building sidewalks that we had in the city was an asphalt curb with an asphalt sidewalk, right? And I don't really like them for a variety of reasons. So it looks like you know, there's not a real clear definition between the sidewalk and the road. I think people need that to feel secure. I think that when you have a concrete curb that also acts as an edge line, that also, you know, creates where you are and space on the road, and, you know, particularly helpful when traveling at night or when it's rainy, you know, have that other level that just really guides us as we get older and our eyesight, you know, play tricks on us, right? So the project that, you know, we're going to look at it that would be a concrete curb throughout the whole entire length of the project. And we're going to look at a couple of different options, right? You know, like, money's always an option. Money's always an issue, right? But I think when we look at the design and we look at together, and the next time I come back, hopefully we'll be able to see some plans, you know, at that point in time. We want to look at what's the costing, you know, for asphalt sidewalks, what's the costing for concrete sidewalks. I like concrete sidewalks, right? I think that you know, they look nicer, they're firmer, they have a much longer, you know, they're there for 40 years, right? And they provide that other look, and it's that finished look. And when we were out yesterday, right, I said, I was told to take a look at Darien, right? They just did sidewalks, right? And I did go up. It looks, it looks, it's stunning, right? It looks really beautiful. And I think that those are the things that we should hold as our standard of things that we want and things that we do. But I think that's really all we have for right now. Just wanted to come, I think what I believe to be is I believe we have public participation. I believe in transparency in government, and I believe in participatory government, right? So this is just very early. We don't have any plans. I did want to put a big map in, but I also found out that the plotter that we have in the office which is out of warranty, doesn't work. So, it's an added thing of just I'll have to replace, but I wasn't able to print out a large map, but I think you all know the road that we're talking about. So happy to answer any questions. Yes.
Yeah, hey, really excited. My name's Richard Spencer. Obviously live in Rowayton. A couple of years ago, I got probably over 400 signatures in town to do a study about sidewalks, which I believe has been earmarked in the budget to do that. Would love to know the status of that. Appreciate your experience. You're here tonight. You've done great things in other towns. I'm sure you'll do them here as well. But I really do appreciate that. But I think without a map, and hopefully we can buy you a printer, you can do Google Maps pretty quickly. Without a clear plan to figure that out, it's the continual lip service that we're getting about a sidewalk plan, about traffic mitigation, about slowing people down in town. Sort of other resources have worked harder to do that than I feel like Norwalk has. I know a bunch of you live in Rowayton, and I appreciate that. But a lot of my neighbors here, a lot of folks throughout town would love to actually see a concrete plan with a timeline, with some actual real things there. I know some money's been implemented to do that. Would love to see how that's being spent. I know there's concern about, is it in my driveway? There's, we're way too, I understand, early in that decision, but really having some concrete plans and something that we could really set people accountable towards doing would really go a long way.
Okay.
Realize it can't be done overnight. Realize there's a lot of challenges, ADA, a whole bunch of things going on. But the next time I think you come back, we'd really love to see something concrete with dates and something behind it. I get you're new in the job. I appreciate your experience, and I know it takes a little bit. We're in the middle of a pandemic, but this is very important for this community. It's more important than ever, and you've noted that. So my only suggestion to you would be really to sort of push that through and really have something that we can look forward to instead of just more talk.
So
before you respond,
no, let me get it for 1 second, because I think it's very important, right? Because look, I can hear some frustration, and I feel, and I sometimes feel that we have somewhat of distrust for government, right? And I think that in many instances it's founded, right? I just ask you to give me one opportunity. I literally am here because I want to be with you through the entire process, right? And when you don't see something, I want you to call me, and I want to talk about it, right? I'm committed to doing this, but so within 2 weeks on the job, I wrote a grant for $18 million for sidewalk installations citywide, right?
And I'm seeing them in other parts of Norwalk with beautiful granite curves, and they're amazing. And then you spoke to Darien, Tokenie Road. They redid that probably 2 or 3 years ago, redoing it again. We really don't have a lot here, and I realize Darien's different than Norwalk, but I'm seeing it done in other parts of Norwalk to a level that's probably extreme. So that's the difficulty I think a lot of people here are finding. That we're asking. You're seeing literally grounded spots and ruddy roads,
Which is horrible to me.
right.
I get.
So people want to walk. We want to walk the train. We love a good community like this. So a real plan is what we're, I think, looking for. And I realize that takes a little bit of time, and I appreciate
It'll take it, but I wanted to hear from you right away, right? And I think that's important. Like, I get you. This is, and I had very similar issues in Stamford, right? There's a lot of similarities between Norwalk and Stamford. There are towns that grew up to be where they are, but we had a lot of voids in sidewalks. And it was really to the point that when we started to put them in, there was also like, are you really going to do it? To the point in time that we're actually getting it done, and it's actually getting requested. I think behavior starts to change. The thing that kills me, right, is so I leave City Hall multiple times a day to look at various parts of the city, right? And these guys already told the story because I tell the story to everyone. You'll be a new person, right? There's a track behind City Hall, right? And every day I would go, whether I come in the morning, whether I leave at night, all throughout the day, people are walking around there. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? Like, why are they walking around here, right? Until we started to go out and ask people. So Garrett is my assistant. He was my assistant in Stanford. He came here with me together. He's my assistant here. He's home with a baby. They just had a little baby girl. So we started to just walk with people and ask them a question, like, why are you coming here, right? And after the first, like, why are you asking me why I'm coming here, right? You know, they're coming there because they don't have sidewalks around their house and they want to walk, right? So they're going in a car, which is creating the traffic, which we all hear about, right? So that they can walk in a circle behind City Hall, right? That's not like nothing against City Hall, not the most attractive, right? You know, but they're adding to that thing because they can't connect to their community. They can't connect to their neighbors, right? When I was out in the neighborhood and the first day that I met Tom and Lisa, you know, I drove around and we walked around and I saw a woman with twins in a twin carriage and she's pushing that and walking a dog in the street because there's no sidewalks, right? It scares the crap out of them. Every day. Like there's all those people.
We had a walk to school day the other day and, you know, I don't know how many people could participate because it's dangerous. It's not done properly. So
I want people to walk to school.
I just ask you, have a concrete plan.
You'll have a concrete plan.
Next time you come here with a date, timeline, budget, how you think this is gonna work, because I think you have the experience. I'm excited for it. I think this is great. I see people nodding their head, which is awesome. But without real plans, facts, numbers, when this is happening, it's sort of, again, okay, great. I might as well sell my house. There's a lot of great realtors up here. Make a ton of money and move to a nicer deal.
No, don't sell your house because my goal here is that we're going to put sidewalks in front of your house and it's going to increase your property value and we got to get more taxes for you.
Right.
That's what my ultimate goal is, right?
I know you will, and I just want to see it next time.
You will. You'll get it.
Super happy.
So I just want to comment, because when Lisa and I first met Jim, was about a week after he started, we were very impressed. And you've heard about his background, you can see his enthusiasm. And having been on the council, this is now my 6th year, we know, Lisa and I, John too, knows that sidewalks are a perpetual issue in Rowayton, as well as the rest of the city. And we think we now have money in the budget for the studies, and more importantly, we have Jim. And though he hasn't had time to prepare what you're talking about, which is obviously needed, we wanted an opportunity to put Jim in front of you for a couple of reasons. One, to meet Jim, most importantly, get a sense his enthusiasm, knowledge, but also to show that we really are hopefully moving this forward finally.
And I see it, and I'm just asking for something real.
Yeah,
and
okay,
I appreciate
fair
it
enough.
too, and that's amazing, and I'd love to work with you, and I think this whole community as
Where do you live?
well. On Hunt Street,
Okay.
but the whole county, it doesn't matter. Right? You go in front of my lawn, you go in anyone's. I think everyone loves a sidewalk, and it really would help connect the community that's very tight and close to begin.
Okay.
So, I just wanted to make a comment.
Sorry, can you please introduce yourself just so everybody knows? Thank you.
Yeah, so my name is Esther and I live on Combs. And actually tonight I'm here also because my husband wrote an entire letter giving his whole life history. Because this is an issue that he grew up in Rowayton on Ledge Road. And so this is something that people have been complaining since he was in elementary school when he walked to school. And I think the bit of context that I do want to add to this, and I don't know if you've heard it, but if not, this is an opportunity to tell you, is Rowayton is an incredibly, I would say, dense area for the number of people in the lots. You know, the houses keep getting bigger and the lots keep getting smaller, and sometimes the lots get broken up and multiple homes go up there, and that is a wonderful thing for the growth of the area, but the infrastructure has not kept up. And it's a 30 to, I don't know, folks that live here longer, I don't know, possibly a 40, 50-year-old issue in the terms of there's no room to grow on the roads. And the increase of both traffic due to Waze and Google Maps, the fact that there's now a lot more trucks delivering things to people, which is both added on by the pandemic, but also just because people are online shopping a lot more. In particular to my neighborhood is the commuting folks who in the winter have to deal with this traffic with no sidewalks and have to try to get home safely, right? In the middle of the dark, evening walk. And the fact that people drive bigger cars on these roads that are not growing, right? So it's an issue of safety to the point where I think everybody has accepted that it's not, will somebody get hurt, but like when, right? And the frustration is exactly that there's been plans, there's been talk, but there's been no action. And I have a toddler, and walking her is literally, I cannot walk my dog and my daughter at the same time because it is an issue of safety. Which everybody sort of has this idea that Rowayton is a very affluent part of Norwalk, and how dare we complain about anything, right? But I mean, walking is something that you should be able to do anywhere in Norwalk. So just wanted to get that out there. And I think it has reached a point where it's kind of outrageous.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Hi there, my name is Joanna Dow. I moved here 2.5 years ago. Absolutely in love with Rowayton. We made our roots here. We're going to raise our child here. Kind of live here for the rest of my life. And I want to thank you all for your service to the community. Obviously, you're there because you want to do something and make change for our community, and I appreciate that. And so I just want to come here. I'm representing many parents from United Church, and presently my child goes there. He's in the 5s class. He's been there for 3 years already. And it's super, super dicey walking your child to school around that corner. It is, as a driver, I feel extremely fearful that I'm going to accidentally hit someone, a dog, a double stroller, a mom. Many parents have expressed concern because I'm also on the RCA community. I joined the came to this community. And everyone thinks I have an answer for that, and I don't. And so I've been in a pursuit for an answer for that as well. I'm so, so excited to hear that you guys are looking into the first priority is definitely getting a safe walk to the United Church for children and moms and strollers, and a safe walk for all the daddies and mommies who are like walking to the train. I mean, everyone, you see people walking to the train and they are walking in slush and mud and on the road, and at dusk, you can barely see them. You want to pick them up and drive them so that they're safe, but it's COVID and you can't. So I just wanted to come here, and I'm representing many families from the church, from the nursery school that wish they could be here, but they've got like multiple 3 kids at home, and we would love to see some progress. And anything, please tell us what we can do to support you to make this happen as soon as possible. And that route is a priority, but Hunt and Wish, scary, scary place to drive. I mean, coming in the back route to our community, it's the service people, it's the trucks for the new development happening here, it's the landscapers, like people who live here. We pay attention, and we're looking for people so we don't hit them. But these guys are barreling through, and they're big trucks, and it's really scary. Okay.
So, I get it, and I do, so, I've been to the parents' house of a little girl who died on the street, right? I have been in the hospital when someone was hit on their bicycle and they had traumatic brain injury, right? So prior to municipal world, I worked at corporate in New York City for a very long time, right? That ended, and I made a decision to work in municipalities, and I stayed there because I find this work incredibly gratifying, and being able to make a difference, like I've never was able to make a difference before, right? The hours can be long, the pay can be sometimes not equal to the amount of hours, right? And we can have disagreements, right? But like the reality is, I'm here because we will have disagreements, but we'll always have a conversation, right? And my intention here is, so, and I think my attention through Mayor Rilling is really someone who he essentially recruited, right? So, because I have a track record of delivering results, right? And we deliver results for those reasons. And we do it through community participating. We all want to, we want to age at home, right? Many more people are getting older. We want to age at home. We know the single most ability to thing that makes you able to age at home is to exercise. And the single most form of exercise you can do as you get older is walk, right? So that's the aging at home. But it's also, exercise, keep getting our children, we continue to see obesity rates rise, particularly, in Norwalk, as I did in my, recognized in the grant that I wrote, right? So, and so we need to look at those things, right? But also, so that there's a walking network, and I think walking is going to be a priority. Pedestrian movements are going to be a priority, because whether we drive, whether we cycle, whether we take public transportation, at some point in time, we're a pedestrian and we're walking, and we need to be safe, right? But equally important, I think we need to create a road network that's safe for cyclists. And I believe that we should be able to safely cycle on our roads from ages 8 to 80, right? And we'll get there, right? We have a very low bike score. We have a very low walk score. And I'm fully committed to being improved, to improving those. And I'm fully committed to making sure that we have more concrete plans, but that you're participating in those plans, right? So, and we'll be there. You had a question?
Can I jump in for a second?
Oh, sorry.
There are a few people waiting in the waiting room, if you don't mind letting them in.
I gotta do that.
And our members of the armed forces.
Only came on. Somewhere where it doesn't move and we can see it.
My little one biking in the town, like I just did for you. Walk with the kids, and bike with the kids. Yeah. It is so scary. Your heart is like riding ahead of you. I was like, oh, shit, just keep like, please get there safely. Get down that hill because cars are flying up and you have no friggin' run at all. And so I understand that there is a huge need for sidewalks on Rowayton, but please come walk with us. Walk with our kids to school on Hunt and Witch. It is beyond frightening. And I understand that there's issues and petitions going around that, oh my gosh, you're not on the plan. I'm sure we can figure out something, because at the end of the day, the more kids on the road who are driving with using their hot little hands, not paying attention, there's people being killed on Hunt Street. There is a woman that was killed. So I'm just asking you, like, anything that we can do as a community, I'm happy to step forward. I've been here 15 years and I plan to be here forever. And I live in there.
Yeah, you don't have to do anything.
I'm happy to here for a specific reason, because it's such an amazing community and I want to keep it this way.
A lot of people there.
So I think that we just, all I ask you is that, I know that we have lots of needs everywhere, right? I do. We have to start somewhere. And I think we're going to start where we see the biggest path, right? And I think we just have more community conversations to talk about, where could be our next opportunities, right?
I think you have a great experience, but how do you mitigate the sort of traffic, high speed thing? Like you've done it in multiple towns. Love to hear a plan here. Like I personally, I go up Tokenie Road in Darien. There's a police car there all the time. You know what? I've never speeded on that road. Rowayton, Highland, Hunt, Ridge, Rowayton Avenue, people fly. There's no police presence. There's very little, and you have this great experience. So I'd love to know from you, like, how do we mitigate that? Like sidewalks and speeding are sort of two different issues that can solve different problems, sort of united. How do we mitigate that? And that may not be part of your goal now, but I'd love to know how we can sort of really reduce that in this town.
So I think, so when I talked to you before that we're going to, we're going to present
The volume up,
to the council, complete streets legislation, followed with the complete streets design manual to kind of lay out some of the framework that we do through community conversations and doing those. But, but my experience is that this is nothing new. It's successful in cities and states, all around the United States and truthfully all around the country. It's education, it's engineering, it's enforcement. Not one of them alone will change the situation, right? But you need all three to happen, right? We need to have an education campaign, and we've done that. We participated, 2 weeks into it, or week into it, I participated in Read Across America Day, where we read books on traffic safety to kids, and when we're back in the schools, we'll talk to them about how to cross the road. We'll hit that. We hit it from every level of cycling education, pedestrian education, driver education, right? Creating people, what are your rules and responsibilities on the road, right? We have to look at how we engineer our roads, right? Currently, we're looking, we look at speed control is just like putting a number up on a road. That doesn't work, right? If it worked, we'd never I'd be out of a job. I'd never have to do this, right? We have to engineer our roads to have to be what we want them to be. And there's a variety of different things that we're looking at. So weeks into the job, we petitioned the Department of Public Works to look at the painted lane width of a road and adopt a 10-foot standard versus a 12-foot standard, right? It's a big deal because 12 feet is the size of your road on 95, right? You don't need a 12-foot lane on a city street, right? A 10-foot lane is a respectful lane for a street, but it also allows us the ability to put biking infrastructure on a street. So we'll look at how we build that complete streets. And in that, we also develop a strong partnership with the police department. I'm hiring a traffic analyst that we're going to start to analyze the data, right? It's when you look at the data that you can't turn away from what the problems are. And so we'll look at some of that data. And I'm also looking at some, not the fixed radar signs that we see throughout the city, but ones that are temporary, that I could move all around. And so it'll be floating, and we'll also be able to start to collect some of that data that you're talking about that happens on the street. So we paint a better picture.
I appreciate all this, but if we're beyond that at this point, I mean, you alone, there's a neighbor here, a police officer finally sat on the corner and probably picked off a dozen people in no time in a motorcycle. But I mean, even something as simple as that, by the way, it makes money for this Norwalk and easy pickings.
But I can't control the police officers, right? I can only partner with them to try to make it happen.
I'll sit there from 7 to 9 and 4 to 6 every night. Be awesome. You make a ton of money, you'll cover up your salary, guaranteed. In like a month, guaranteed.
Just so the audience knows, because the commissioners work pretty closely with our local community.
Why is there never an officer there until finally, you guys call the other day?
We do actually communicate a lot with Officer Sally and also the Chief of Police, Chief Kahal. And we try to get them to sit in certain hot spots and change the behavior. The reason you don't speed on Token Road is because you've been trained to know that there's a police.
They're there all the time.
Yeah.
I've never seen one on Twitter. I've been here a lot for the last year and a
But
half.
sometimes the Norwalk police has maybe a different point of view on that, but we were working with them. And I mean, somebody recently sent me an email when that tractor trailer flipped over. It was a flatbed carrying a digger of some sort. And she said, why aren't you on this? I said, if I had $1 for every time I reached out to the Norwalk police about speeding and traffic issues and all of the commissioners, we would have more money than we make in our jobs. So we do try, and I think,
Well, it's a systematic problem.
Yeah.
So let me.
Keep the dialogue. You as a resident, call the customer service line at City Hall, 854
3,200.
3,200, and say.
We all do this, and we're the highest tax district in this town. I mean, it's beyond bad throughout Rowayton.
You have to keep trying, and we keep trying, And then when you get somebody like Jim coming in with fresh ideas, it's really helpful. The trend in not only Connecticut, I mean, we think we're a rural state and we don't need
We
sidewalks.
don't at
but
all.
We do.
Not
And
us.
then
We're
the
urban
trend-
community.
Yep, I agree. And the trend has been changing in the pedestrian and the biker's favor, so you just have to keep at it. And Tom and Lisa worked through the common council when the planning and the capital budget get laid out. These big projects take years, and they move.
A
like
police
right
officer is
away.
not a big project.
No,
It's
no,
just someone coming down for a couple hours. It's not, I'm not looking to move like roads and people's houses.
But
We're just looking to get people to not drive so fast.
I am so with you. It's getting, the process can be frustrating. I've been a commissioner for a long time, I've been wanting sidewalks in certain places. And so we have to keep up. That petition that you did was terrific. You have to keep at it, and then you have to know that they fund 5 years out, and then they make a study. And Jim has to have the money in his study area before he can come up with a plan to give to us.
We
and
have
say,
money for
"Hey,
that
it's good
study
enough."
and we've got him, so.
So if I can, right?
This is a capital budget, so in the city of Norwalk, and Rowayton has actually paid for a few little things on our own because we have the vacation. But he has to work through the process, and with residents advocating for the process, that's how we can make some changes. And Tom and Lisa can help move those things through City Hall. And the commissioners really try to work with the police and the safety around town, getting the speed trailers, things like that. So please know we are all trying, and Jim.
If I can make a suggestion, right, the same as that I'm here tonight, why don't we invite the police, why don't we invite the either assistant chief or your, I'm assuming we have a district manager. You, and I'm happy to come back when we can talk about that, but I can't address the policing issue. So let's get the right people in the table, you and then you, right?
Well, I was just gonna say your suggestion is wonderful, but I was at that meeting 5 years ago and nothing changed after the police were here.
Sally was here a couple meetings.
Yeah, he was here, we had long conversations.
Yes,
I
Sally's
spoke to him and said, come use, we have a cutout that's right near one of the dangerous intersections in town. I said, you can put a police officer there. I told him that night, there has never been a cop car on that cutout looking.
So I would only say this, right, with all due respect, right? I don't think we should allow someone not to, I'm not going to come in front of you every 5 years, and I don't think you should allow anybody to come in front of you every 5 years, right? We're public servants, and we serve, like, so we should get people on a more regular basis, and I'll be happy to participate with that. But like, I can't do the policing, but I do. We can do a partnership, and I think it is a partnership. But I think we should hold people accountable for the job they're doing. You and then you, right? You next, right? What?
I think he's been here since then. I don't want to say.
Okay,
he hasn't been
okay.
here 5 years. I'm just saying that sort of meeting happened 5 years ago. We had a lot of dialogue similar to what we're talking about right now. And from a police presence around speeding in town, nothing has changed.
Right, to your point, the sort of 3 E's,
Yeah.
we're missing a bunch of them. And I know you're working really hard for one of them, but we gotta get all 3 of them in line to your point.
Right. And I want you to hold me accountable, and I think we need to hold everyone accountable. Yes, sir.
Am I next?
You're next. Sorry.
Yes, good evening. Thank you, Commissioner. I'm Robert Stromstead at 19 Hunt Street, Rowayton, and I'm representing 27 residents who live along Rowayton. And our concerns are all of yours. It's safety. And we want to just share, first of all, my background. I'm a retired Coast Guard officer. I am also an active civil engineer specializing in transportation, working with a consulting firm around the United States, working for most of the state DOTs, including ours. And I also am of a culture of safety and public service. That's where I come from. That's where my family comes from. And I'm representing, as I was starting to say, 27 residents, many of whom live on Hunt for many generations, some who moved there recently. And I'm with some other colleagues and friends here who are also part of a group concerned about safety on Hunt. And the problem is, the number one problem is speed. And speed can be solved by traffic calming. We already have a narrow street, which in effect is a traffic calming device. We may not like those pinch spots that make it narrower than 20 feet, but you slow down. And, but we slow down. The other thing though about this interesting hilly street is its topography, and there's a history why there are not sidewalks. And it goes much deeper than the fact we have more traffic now. The topography is such, first of all, let me cover speed. The posted speed limit of 25 miles an hour actually exceeds the safe stopping distance per federal guidelines. And Jim and I talked about this in 3 areas. It's, in fact, the speed should be less than 25 in at least 3 areas, because you cannot see a rolling ball or a little kid or something or a dog running out in the street when you're driving. Vice versa, when you're driving, you can't see someone coming the other way. When bicyclists are saying, pass me, you start to pass, and there's someone roaring at you. A second thing then about the topography, and this goes to ADA, and this is just to alert the city. The majority of the properties on Hunt have what's called travel slopes exceeding 10%. Some as high as 14.5% near Andy Rooney's house, but 10% or more along much of the route. That exceeds, 5% or more, but mostly 10%, because there are multiple inclines on all of those hills. Those inclines represent a situation, unfortunately, for those who want sidewalks, that your sidewalks will fail, because sidewalks have to have a 10% maximum running rate to meet ADA, even to meet normal safety walking and rolling standards. So the majority, we call on the city to wisely be stewards of our precious funds. But in addition to that, yes, I have a petition of lots of signatures here.
22, we have 400. I urge you guys to move this
Would
towards
you please
what
not
the
interrupt?
evening was about.
Sir, we are here to share information and be intellectual about
If
this.
someone said someone died on the street,
I know someone
there are
died.
people here to
And the
mitigate
way
traffic
to stop-
and figure that out.
the way
So
to
I
stop
appreciate
death-
that. And I appreciate
Well,
the work
you're trying to bully your way into my time. I don't appreciate it.
I'm not.
Excuse me, there are other people that would like. to
And
speak.
I was the first one here asked politely to speak. And all I'm trying to do is exchange information. It's a fact.
They're not even asking about the sidewalk on the street.
We want to have speed humps. That's our recommendation. And
Yes,
the
absolutely.
modern speed hump allows a comfortable roll. And Rowayton School has a pretty darn good speed hump. They're used throughout the United States increasingly, and they're used in cities that have winter operations.
Thank you.
And first of all, I'd like to thank the city for bringing police out to Hunt Street yesterday. They pulled over several vehicles at forcing speed, and we appreciate the speed study that the city has initiated.
Thank you.
I can't take control of the speed, the cops though, so I appreciate it. You, yes, sir, back.
Just a question on the traffic study, and I'm not clear. Is there a traffic study for all new initiatives that will affect the neighborhood? So if someone's like all the new property being built on 5 Mile, is there a traffic study to see how that affects Rowayton Avenue?
Can you identify yourself first?
Yeah, I'm man. Now I'm the one who called the cops to get the cop come. I live on the corner of Bittersweet, Hunt, and Witch.
Thank you.
We live right there.
So my question is from a process standpoint, there's a lot of other initiatives that go on in this town that seem to go really fast. I think you get a frustration from a high income, high tax based part of Norwalk, that this doesn't go a little quicker. So from my question is there a process in place that no other initiative gets approved until there's a traffic plan for that initiative?
I'm a little confused at what initiative you're talking about. If it's a development property, yes, there's a traffic study for a development property.
Yeah, it's just as a process in general. There's
Yes.
going to be some construction going on 5 Mile, and I think there's gonna be condos or
Yes.
something there. Was there a traffic study to approve that the town can support that?
So I wasn't here for that, so I can't, but I can tell you in general, there is a traffic study that is initiated for every development. It's a reviewed, it's a twice reviewed, one by an outside consultant, one by city staff. So yes,
So no new initiative that comes in town.
Every development has to have a traffic impact analysis. It's a
Okay.
TIA,
So
yes.
what was the traffic impact analysis for the condos going on?
I don't know. We're here for the sidewalks on Rowayton.
Like right next to the art center?
Yes.
So
And the other one down here, right?
we wouldn't really be able to answer your question. That would be for planning and zoning, because an applicant building something new has to go before the planning and zoning.
So planning and zoning doesn't talk to the city council or traffic?
Well,
They do, but I wasn't here
Okay.
and I wasn't, we're here to talk about the sidewalks on Rowayton. So that's what we came prepared to talk about. I can't talk about something that happened before I got here. I don't know.
I understand that. My point is, from a process standpoint.
Then yes. If
That
every,
was a priority, and they put a mall in Sono that has traffic that comes through our neighborhood. All of these things that affect the neighborhood, there seems to be that there hasn't been traffic studies and those initiatives to move forward. And you have the residents here asking you for a traffic plan to the committee. And we're being told it could take like 5 years.
there is a traffic impact analysis done for every single project that is initiated out of planning and
That
zoning.
would be good to see that. It would be good for us to know how that study said that all of the new developments around us had no impact on the. That's what I want.
Thank you.
I actually, so this might be a little out there, but like one of the conversations that my husband and I constantly have is precisely about Hunt Street and having, yes, speed bumps, I'm 100% on that.
Speed humps.
Speed humps,
There's a big difference.
okay. Any mitigating factor for speed, we personally think that it's probably time for that street to be a one-way, to also mitigate the amount of traffic there. But there are some sidewalks, I mean, they could barely be called sidewalks because they're terrible. But like, there's no way for a lot of folks that are closer to the train station to get to town without going that way unless they want to cut through people's property, right? So there has to be a way for people to walk there. And, you know, I understand it's a narrow street. I understand the people who live there probably don't want things built on their road, but if we make it a one-way, maybe there's extra space. I mean, we need sidewalks. Like it's kind of outrageous that we don't have them. Like that's.
But so we put in a petition 3 years ago for the sidewalk on Hunt Street, and it's still in a petition to get studied. So that's my question is, we haven't even talked about a sidewalk, we're talking about a study of the sidewalk. And when does that become a conversation?
We have funds in place that.
Okay, so the city puts the funds.
So we're just, those funds will be spent on the study.
Okay, but so we haven't, honestly, my husband moved in 3 years ago, we haven't heard one word in 3 years about the study.
Okay.
So we'd love to know
But-
when the study's happening. We've heard.
But I'm here for 7 weeks and I'm in front of you. I can't be here. I can't take responsibility for, wait a minute, no, look, I sit here and I give you time. I just ask for mine, right? I'm here 7 weeks in here because I understand it's a priority. It's a priority for me. We're starting this process. We're going to be there and I'm here for the long run, right? I understand that we had problems that we didn't deliver in the past. I'm telling you, we'll deliver them in the future, and I'll be here every single time until we do, and you'll hold me accountable. No, but it's not you personally. It's like I understand the frustration. I do, but I'm here 7 weeks into the job.
You've heard you have a community behind you.
These are things that I want to do. These are things that I have a history of doing, and I understand that we didn't deliver them, right? And we will deliver them. But I don't think that you should not only hold me accountable. I think you should hold the police department accountable, right?
Rather than discussing what should be done, let's going forward. When would be an appropriate time to come back and update us on what's going on?
So I could work through Mike to get to the commission to give you updates of where I am, right? And then and just let me, we're writing the RFP for it right now. And I will gladly come back in front of you when we pick a designer. I think when we have a designer here, You know, and truthfully, I'm picking a designer versus doing it in-house for a reason that I talked to Mike about, right? You know, part of it is on a state road, right? It's really challenging sometimes to get these to get these through a state road. We have the best, my experience has the best, you know, luck when we have a consultant firm that understands the limitations that are going to be working with state, what they're going to be looking for, and ability to get it through fast, right? I don't want to be here 3 years from now telling you, oh, you know, like we're working on it, right? You know, it's not my history of doing it. I don't like to doing it. I'd rather be in front of you saying, hey, we did this, let's have a party and let's talk about what the next thing is, right? I'm not walking away, I'm here, right? I get the frustration, right? I wouldn't buy, like when we bought our house, I wouldn't buy my house that didn't have an ability for me to walk, right? It's critical for me to understand, right? And I think it's critical for people to get out. You know, kids got to be able to trick or treat, right? I like candy.
At this point, we just get a commitment from you for sort of when we can meet again. And have some.
I'm. Well, I just want to give him an answer because I think he deserves it, right? So let me do this, right? I barely know where the bathroom is, right? You know, so I'm just trying to walk. I tried to walk through the process and to say, so we're writing the RFP, we're getting it going. Let me get that is there, and then as soon as we have that part of it done, I'll say that I'll come back and we'll talk about where we are.
Maybe
3 months. I'll be back by within 3 months. I'll be back. If it's not before then you put me on the schedule for 3 months from now, right?
You're on the schedule already.
I'm on the schedule already for 3 months, right?
Everyone realizes, you know, like everyone takes for granted that we have trucks on 136. Now there are still some trucks that use 136. They're legally allowed to, and all this is on our website where we've explained what's happened. But it took Andy Glazer and I 3 years to fight the state of Connecticut to honor a deal that had been agreed to in the 1980s, federal court, that no through trucks. And for those of you who lived here then, every morning there used to be 75 UPS trucks who drive through town on their way to exit 12 to get on 95. And we don't have that anymore. So we have made some progress, but it always takes time. And we had a really unified front. We were very lucky. But even then, we had a team between Darien, Norwalk, and Rowayton. It still took us 3 years. So all this stuff does take time. And really, the person who ran this department, Jim's predecessor, wasn't a traffic engineer. I mean, it was, I don't know what her background was, but you know, we haven't had this resource before. So I think things will change. I still don't really understand some of the money we had talked about, that 50,000 in the capital budget, where that is exactly, but we're working on figuring that out.
Yeah, Mike, just to follow up on your point, I mean, we haven't had somebody like Jim before. I think we have to give them an opportunity to get.
And I think the community is ready to.
And you got to hold me accountable. Like this. So
And that
I will
tell with this group.
look, and I don't like I am an impatient person. I'm Irish, you know, we don't have a lot of things. So like I don't like the bureaucracy frustrates me too, right? You know, and I have had a conversation with Tom, I have a conversation with Lisa, you know, and I've had a conversation with other councilmen. Like, we need to be in a position where we need to be held accountable, but we also need to be able to be in a position that we can be nimble, because that's what I think people want, right? They don't want to hear like, oh, I have to wait for the one other meeting that happens every other month before I can put something through, right? So I'm still working at what that process is, right? So like, you know, and later I'll be able to give you like these concrete things, but I will be I will be here every quarter, right? And either I'll give you an update or you can beat the shit out of me, right? I'm so sorry.
The craziness that happens at that corner. We mentioned it earlier, so the police force or someone that represents traffic enforcement also attend in the coming meeting, because I do agree with many of my neighbors here that the traffic calming has to be a part of the safety conversation, in addition to all these other points everyone's making. And I did witness the policeman catch 2 people in a matter of 20 minutes cruising through, even in the mornings when I'm up early, walking my dog, walking UPS other side of town are just cruising through, just running that stoplight. So it's just not gonna stop until we take the Tokenie Road approach of, having someone there all the time, and I know Dave and would be happy to, support that.
So if not then, before, maybe Mike, we can invite the,
Yeah, yeah, well,
we can have a
people-
conversation with Assistant Chief to have somebody come when I come back.
The chief, head of community policing, and we are, usually when the chief parts go on, we do have our own community police officer, but he just works a 40-hour week, and he sometimes gets pulled on to other stuff. And we do urge him a lot to, partake and to be here and to use people's driveways and so forth. And, sometimes he's responsive, and other times, we had a huge rash of car thefts. And there were some people really working about that, and really, they did rise to the occasion. We met at Lisa's house one day to kind of go over it. So, if their resources, they're pulled, and,
I
sometimes
mean,
we
even
get.
like, I haven't hard time about my Easy Pass yet, I mean, I get my Easy Pass ticket in the mail in a minute, because I went through so many tolls, so like, I mean, there has to be ways to like also do this, maybe,
Sure,
there are other
21st
creative
century.
ways, I don't know, I just
Yeah.
would urge all of us to think out of the box, because there has to be a way to come up with good
Mike.
ideas.
Well, we'll have another forum, and we'll go from there.
Your battery's low. Your battery's, sorry.
I don't want to lose everybody's time.
One or two officers, just a sweeper a week, kind of like how Pete has their own police force, and everything here in the area and what we have, but has there ever been a thought of paying two salaries and having two police officers that are just for a week?
We did look into buying like one of those speed trailers, because those are pretty effective at slowing people down. We did look into that. We have talked to Darien as to what the arrangement is with Tokenie Patrol. We just, in the end, didn't feel like we were in a position to proceed with that, because there were a lot of legal issues. But so we did look into it. We didn't get very far. Okay, so if that, I think we appreciate your time. Oh, okay. Sorry, Jason.
Wait for what? What is the status, if any, of budget funds for the sidewalk? We went over that. The sidewalk, we're waiting to the train station from before the sidewalk on Hunter Witch. Do you have any of that? Priority?
So Rowayton is the priority.
Rowayton is the priority. Is
And
there?
we might also want to note that the Hunt Witch proposed sidewalk is close to $500,000. And budget items of that magnitude frequently get kicked out of the capital budget. And that's what happens. And that's where the frustration is. So go to the capital budget meetings that happen in January and February and tell the people on that commission that you want that money.
The electrician needed a second concrete pad put in. So we went to a landscaper who was going to put it in. He ended up getting COVID, had a reaction to an allergic reaction to his medicine. So he got set back. And then with Mother's Day, anyway, he finally got it framed up. And now we're waiting on the electrician to put in the pipes, which should be in hopefully by the end of the week, maybe early next week. The concrete can get poured immediately and the aerator can finally get put in. So it will take a little bit more time, but it's progressing, I suppose. Finally, it's moving along again, but it was a stalemate for a long time.
So that concrete pad is on the far side of the sidewalk?
Correct.
Yeah.
I don't think it's too visually obtrusive. I don't think anyone even notices it's there. Yeah, I think certainly we can let that grow. Mhm. And then Mike, do you want to unmute yourself?
Okay. In terms of commissioner reports, what do I have? The Ambler parking lot project is moving along. We have a zoning commission hearing next week. And there have been some issues about the circulation, and we're working on those to finalize, placate the engineers at the city. And I think at the community center, all in, it's been pretty quiet here. The library's back open. These rooms are now back open. And the dog park is still closed while we wait for the grass to grow back, which is what we do every year. And I think that's pretty much. We talked about Bailey Beach, I think, in a lot of detail. Next is district treasurer.
So first up, I've circulated the bills paid report.
Yes.
For the review and signatures.
Thank you.
And if you need a copy of those as well. Additionally, we have the budget versus actual report, and in line with seasonal expectations, where revenues are 58%. This is June 30th fiscal year, as everybody may or may not know. And so there's one more part there for the city, we should be right in line. And revenue expense at 77%, pretty much right in line as well. Yes, seasonality and everything. Events to talk about this month would be the capital projects Mike alluded to, both the railroad communications and the Amber parking lot. We've submitted an outline to the CFO. I've been in contact with, and he assures me everything's in line with that. We will be part of their borrowing authority, and we should have official payments or be in line with official payments for the probably in June, more like in July, so possibly in August. So that's about it from the.
All right, thank you very much. And then fire marshal, please.
Yeah, a couple things. I'm waiting to hear back from SNEW and Ralph Fire Marshal. He brought my attention that hydrants, is what they call private hydrants, which are located on fire hydrants located on private property, are not inspected or maintained by the local water company. That would take into account the two hydrants, or the hydrant, two hydrants at Rowayton Middle, one hydrant at Rowayton, and Grand Capital has a hydrant at Rowayton Point, and Weaver. So I'm waiting to hear back from him how he did out with the Board of Ed, and what their reaction was. Because those are supposed to maintain and inspected and maintained yearly. Because they go to use them,
So
we go to use them and they don't work.
they belong to SNEW, but because they are on private property, they don't get tested?
Private property was put in by the people.
Oh, by the property
the
owner.
property owner.
Oh, okay.
So I'm waiting to hear back from him. What a new incident reporting system is now in place for fire incidents and property inspections and non-occupancy inspections. Took a while to get that implemented and get some training. One more training class to go to for Zoom, but that's all coming together. Waiting plans for 140 Rowayton Avenue, 2 apartments on the 3rd floor. I saw the initial plans, but we need some more detail. Also waiting building structural plans for 111 Rowayton Avenue condos and 143.
What's 140? Is that by the art, the other side of the?
140.
142.
Oh, that one, okay.
Yeah. That's it, Farmhouse.
Thank you. All right, and then property.
Yeah, we agree.
So I'm not clear on this.
No.
As Mike said, the building has been welcoming groups to the building, and Community Center here to West Quilters came back yesterday. I negotiated, well, not negotiated, but I came with a fixed price for Gulf's propane till next April of 2.099. It's going up as everything has. The girl told me on the phone that the price we had last year, 1799, was a very good price.
And too bad we didn't have a lot of use. You know, we had the good price, but there weren't that many
Yeah,
people in there.
right.
Now we get the higher price, and we'll probably have more use. Oh, well, at least we'll be getting some rental fees.
The fire escape, I'm gonna be contacting a third party for inspection of that. I attended one of the seminar conference speakers was on fire escapes. And it's pretty involved. There's companies that do come around and do fire escape inspections, which is required in case you ever had. Bailey Beach, we had 6 new tables that were assembled by our people, and there's a picnic area. The bathrooms are open daily, and as Mike mentioned, we had the fellow doing the off-season cleaning. He will do it this Thursday and Sunday, and he'll be done. Chips were delivered today. Hopefully, they'll get spread, and people will be using it. Picnic Park, we had 6 more tables assembled and placed in the park, and many people have welcomed them.
Yeah, I got good feedback.
And the RCA came in and cleaned the left side of the barn, took out a lot of items, old items from the gadgets, and they did a good job doing it. I just was down there the other day. The front porch soffit and facing board, it needs to be replaced because of rot. Gardner Gray, he was on this property when I was there, and I showed him that, and he will take care of that at some point, hopefully soon. Jason has arranged to have the power washing of the porches, hopefully by Memorial Day, before Memorial Day. Yeah. I'm pushing for that. That's it.
Great, thank you. We do want to announce that there is going to be a Memorial Day parade,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yep. Memorial Day, we've been working with the RCA and the permitting system of the city. And there will be a Memorial Day parade, might be a little different than historically, but not that much different. There will not be hot dogs at the fire department. That was decided, sadly. But we'll still, I think we'll have the most of what we want and what you were used to. There is still a lot of discussion about fireworks. I think the odds of fireworks happening on 4th of July are unlikely, just for a lot of different reasons, but everyone's been working diligently on this. And the RCA has kindly, this is the 100th birthday of the 6th taxing district. We were founded in 1821 or 1921, sorry. And we are going to have a birthday party on September 18th at Bailey Beach. And if the RCA does not, they are the fireworks sponsor. If they do not have the fireworks for 4th of July, they have graciously offered a fireworks show for our birthday party. And I think that's everything, right? Our district clerk. And then we have to approve the minutes.
The walk-in beach application process has been a huge success. We did 184 on Saturday morning applications, and 72 on Monday night. Even when you stopped by, it was pretty slow. It was better earlier. I was surprised there were that many. But anyway, we used to get 40 or 50 at best anytime. Scheduled another one we've said already on March 24th. Now it's 6 to 8 p.m. I hope. And we'll do one on Saturday morning upstairs, 6 to 9 to 12. Emailed a person trying to find a location for a photo shoot, was interested in Bailey Beach. He's not gotten back to me, but I think he's probably came up and saw it because he said he was going to drive up and see New Jersey. And maybe just what he wanted to do or something. Anyway, that's a moot subject. I guess, can we agree to charge the same amount if somebody else comes up with a photo shoot, so we don't waste the time trying to get back and forth.
Did you say which?
I like to get the permits in the mail the day after I receive them, but I got a little behind with other events. I'm still having trouble with some of the voicemail. When you pick it up to get the voicemail, you get the
All the numbers didn't work anymore.
most cases, it gives you the district number.
I didn't have time
that it gets routed from.
I just want to make sure they don't not pay.
So many people are taught in such a beautiful voice.
Yeah.
Or they start out strong and then it drops off. Anyway, one guy was pretty upset, I guess, because he wanted the 5th of June or at the pavilion. He get an email, a voicemail from his wife. I didn't realize who she was, but I couldn't. I remember her first name. One of the 6th of June. She said, well, it turns out they're not on the same page, I guess. They definitely wanted the 5th, it's already blocked. Anyhow, when she gave that phone number, I had no idea. I couldn't hear it at all. So anyway, that's just one of those things, technological things.
Maybe ask somebody else to listen to it at the same time,
Well, I
because
have.
4 ears are better than 2.
Yeah. I've called.
Okay.
Anyway.
Okay. Your assistant.
A resident on Acorn Lane reported that the AFK truck crushed the curb in front of her house. I think Alfred was notified.
Yeah, he was notified and he went up to look at it. Haven't been able to speak with him since he went to look at it, but he was aware and checking it out. So hopefully we'll find some resolution.
I have 6 applications waiting until I receive missing documentation. Many events are being scheduled, left and right, mostly at the beach, but several here too, so it's gonna be busy. And a Rowayton resident on staff at Old Bridge School.
Julia, she would do it.
We should have a year-end party. I think we've done this for other schools, so maybe it's every year. At the pavilion midweek in June.
Who is this? What school?
Oxridge School. It's up on.
In Darien, it's a public school in Darien, but the residents from Rowayton.
Why are they coming to our beach? Why don't they go to their own beach?
Yeah, they could, why
I
don't they
mean,
just go
why
to
don't they go
Darien?
to their own beach?
I'm sorry.
Why don't they go to the beach in Darien? They're from
One of
Darien.
the.
And how can a Rowayton resident be going to Oxford School?
Well, they're teaching, they must teach there.
Oh, the teachers. Oh,
Well, yes, it's not
it's a
classes,
teacher.
it's a end of year staff meeting, staff meeting, yeah. Have any objections?
Well, how many people and are they paying or what?
No, I don't have any, we haven't gotten that far. I'm sure.
Is it a
I
week?
told
week?
them that the
Is it a
max is
weeknight?
49. Oh, I think she did say 20 or 30, 20, no. I think she did.
What day of the week?
Thursday.
Thursday.
Is this job in? Is that why you pulled it out?
Yeah. They don't book rain dates during the season because they
Right.
do it before. But it's midweek. It's probably-
Thursday.
It's a passport job that's stapled to
I'm
it.
sorry,
Thursday, June 3rd.
no, it's later.
Oh, the 5th is a
Hey,
Saturday.
hey,
They're not.
Are you, oh, it's your
Saturday,
vacation. The
Thursday.
10th, the 17th, the
Might
20th.
be, I guess.
Send around, either give them the questionnaire or just send it around to us in an email.
I think I sent all that stuff to them just in case.
Okay,
So I let them know what you said.
all right, thank you.
That's all I have.
All right.
Andrea, I didn't follow what you were saying here in your report. They want an email address along with a phone number on the website? There are email addresses for everybody.
They couldn't email me because it says on the website, book the pavilion, contact Andrew Woodward at. And he said, if we had an email address, then.
So we should change that?
I'll edit it now. That's, your email address is all over our website. That's kind of that seems a bit excessive.
Well. All right, then we need to review
The minutes.
So thank you for reviewing that.
So the only 2 corrections was on the first page, John Igneri, his name's missing an I.
Which one?
On the second paragraph, it just says Commissioner John Ignair,
Oh.
instead of Igneri. And on the third page, under my report, in the second paragraph, it talked about the engineers recommend dividing the project into 2, it says into parts, but it's into 2 parts. And then instead of just saying the open culvert should be changed to a closed culvert, they are suggesting, or they are recommending that the open culvert should be changed to a closed culvert. That's their proposal. So I'll just give it to you. You can see what I've circled.
It's at the top. Oh, yes, then, including the corrections that were just submitted, then do I have a motion to approve the minutes? Second, okay, Mike seconded, Don,
Yep.
all in favor, aye, okay, so as amended, please.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, Jason, you have anything?
So
How's your baby? New baby?
it's good.
Good.
Don't put that in the.
Oh, does anybody else have anything to say? Joe? No, I don't like to put you on the spot.
Nothing about town issues.
Okay. All right, very good. We
Make a
did-
motion to
we-
adjourn.
Yeah, I will make a motion to adjourn, and then Joe, if you could approach the table after we adjourn. Everybody in favor of adjourning? Okay, thank you. The next meeting will be the third Wednesday of June, which is, I can't do the second Wednesday, sorry. This obviously wasn't working out too well with me on the Zoom call.
Well,
I know we try to multitask, so it'll be Wednesday, June 16th.
yeah,
Here, 7 o'clock is
I
good for
won't be here.
everybody? Yep.
you won't be here?
It's my birthday. I'm not going.
All right.
Oh, John, maybe we'll come to your house
You
after.
could do that.
I don't know what I voted for in the planning commission meeting on the second vote.
So if you want some of these things.
Oh, yeah, these tables, these picnic tables, yeah.
Where's Jason? Jason, I think knows. Okay.
This, the picture-
So we're done, right, Jason?
well,
I can end this?
Yeah.